What's going on, everyone? It's been so damn long, but this is Chris back again alongside my co-host Crystal. This is the Pedal Dance Podcast, and Crystal, what are we doing today?
Hardcore drugs. Oh no, not that. But we are just gonna talk some more about the news that happened, and we just wanted to have a theme for today to just discuss Pokemon names that are commonly either mispronounced or no one's really sure if there's an official pronunciation for them, just because we just hear a lot of different sayings, even through the anime and through other Pokemon related sources. And then we'll close with the Pokemon of the week.
Sounds good.
So yeah, without further ado, Surfetched. That's something that Ty and I discussed, and yeah, it's confirmed. It's no longer a rumor. Surfetched is here and now, regardless if you like it. It's about dang time that Farfetch'd got an evolution. Although it would be nice if it would have retained its flying type with the fighting edition. That way Halucho doesn't have to be alone. And then I believe its ability also changes up. So, I guess Steadfast isn't terrible, but I personally wanted a better ability on it. How did you feel about Surfetched?
I'm happy it happened. The design is all right. Which I think is funny because this is Pokemon Sword and Shield, yet he has a lance and a shield. Still trying to figure that out. That's actually not a sword, it's a lance. And I agree, I wish he would have kept his flying type. Just plain fighting type, I don't know, just doesn't really fit to me. But other than those nitpicks, I'm overall happy for it. For the fact that it's actually coming in. I don't like the fact that it's Sword exclusive. Being somebody who's going to be getting Shield. But overall, yeah, I'm cool with it.
But yeah, I also agree with the whole exclusive. That makes me wonder, is Farfetch'd also Sword exclusive, or is the evolution only attainable in Sword? But I guess
I think it would be Farfetch'd itself is exclusive to Sword, because that wouldn't really make any sense.
You know what? That's a very fair point.
That'd be just like a giant tease. How are you going to put Farfetch'd in both of them, but Surfetch'd can only be obtained in one version?
Kind of makes me wonder what Galarian evolutions are going to be available in Shield, because they always do that whole flip flop, like with Ninetales and Sand Slash or Snow Slash, and so Surfetched is one. I guess I have yet to reveal the next one for Shield exclusive. But yeah, sorry if it sounded like I was distracted. I was just checking Cerebi real quick to see if there was anything that we should add to the news section, which honestly I did not see anything really newsworthy.
But there might be something that got revealed that might be Shield exclusive. We just don't know yet. And Crystal, would you like to get into what that is?
Well, I guess that's a possibility. So the other bit of news is the Galarian Ponyta, which is technically not confirmed. However, with the 24-hour stream and all the hints and the creator of Pokemon just responding to various tweets, it's essentially all but confirmed officially that there is a Galarian Ponyta in Rapidash. We already know what Galarian Ponyta looks like. Galarian Rapidash is to be revealed, and I've heard nothing but positive opinions of Galarian Ponyta. Um,
That surprised me.
really? Did you hear negative opinions?
Oh no, that's the thing. That's what surprised me is I've heard nothing but positive opinions about it. I thought this was going to be one of those Pokemon just based on looks. It was just going to get a lot of complaints on it, but it hasn't.
Oh yeah, which of course is pleasant, and hopefully Rapidash keeps up the pleasantries. But my only nitpick about it so far is when I first saw it on the stream, I just thought it looked too much like a My Little Pony character. Um, but it has to be part fairy if it's going to look like that. And Cerebi showed one of the Ponyta with no tail, so that makes me think that the flames or fluff or whatever it is it has just comes and goes as it pleases, which I'm not really sure if that still makes it a fire type or not. So I can see Rapidash being a fairy fire for more controlled flames, or fairy flying, and that stuff on its body is not really fire. It's just more like exotic mist, dust, whatever, and it gains wings to become a unicorn.
Yeah, I can see that as well. That's what I'm actually hoping for, honestly, because that's just one of those things. That's Ponyta is one of those Pokemon that, if you ask a lot of people, what Pokemon have you always wanted to have something, whether it's an evolution and stuff like that, Ponyta would always be on the list. And what was the one thing they would do? They would want it to become like a unicorn. Well, even though Rapidash is technically a unicorn because of the horn, something like a Pegasus and become fire flying. So I think this is just Pokemon actually somewhat delivering on that, which I think it's well deserved and it's well overdue.
Oh yeah, and then it makes it more standoutish because Ponyta and Rapidash are just mono fire type Pokemon with abilities that are mediocre at best, and stats that are on the meh side. So yeah, they definitely needed this to happen. It'll be interesting to see whether or not they're more physical or special attacks, or if their stats are just going to be the same. Um, but yeah, I think going fairy flying instead of fire flying will be preferred just because there are so many fire flyers, whereas just Togekiss or Togekiss is the only fairy flying we have.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm still hoping for the Fairy Fire. I know it's only a slim chance after seeing this, but I still hope for Fairy Fire, at least whenever it evolves into Rapidash.
Oh yeah, I'm open to that too, since they would be the only one so far. But I guess, is there anything else you should comment about the news before you move to the theme?
Mm-hmm. I just hope that Pokemon don't do a 24-hour stream again like that, because showing this is just me. I know it's a lot of other people too, but this is just me talking. Seeing a Pokemon every other hour and a half, it just felt empty.
Oh
I mean,
yeah, that's another thing I was going to say. Thank you for saying that. It reminded me. I think Galarian Ponyta's like Pokédex entry and story is going to have something to do with Impidimp, just because that's probably the next most common Pokemon we saw, and we never saw them on the same screen together. I think they're going to have a relationship similar to Seviper and Zangoose, where Impidimp could be afraid of Galarian Ponyta for being a fairy type, and Dark Fairy still weak to fairy. But that's just my personal speculation.
huh, I didn't even think about that. That's actually kind of cool. And it was not Crystal. Do you remember what the most seen Pokemon of the entire stream was?
Well, regardless if they were blurs or not, I did not watch the entire stream and only have a few sources of updates. It was either Galarian Ponyta, Phantom, or Merlure. I never use that Pokemon, so its name's not even appearing in my head. That fairy grass type.
Morlul.
Yeah, I don't use that Pokemon ever, so its name just does not stand out to me. But were any of those three the most common ones?
Pikachu.
Oh, that's lame.
Because why? Because why not?
Wow, as far as I know, most of that was a waste of time then.
There you go.
But I guess that without further ado, we have a top 18 list that we will go over very quickly about common Pokemon names that are mispronounced, or there's a debate about how to properly say their name. Originally, I wanted to keep it at 15, but there are just some Pokemon I could not leave off this list.
Crystal
And
had to go an extra mile.
And of course, even though this list is exclusive to 18, there are plenty of Pokemon. If I wanted to do a full list on all Pokemon, we wouldn't have enough time for that. But without further ado, let's go into this, starting with the shout-outs. So, Chris, do you remember playing Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow version?
Of course.
Do you remember that very, very famous or infamous cheat code that everyone, or most everyone, as a kid used?
Cheat code. Are you talking about the missing no?
Why, yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about, but
Oh, I was legitimately guessing. Okay, cool.
with your memory, you probably remember there was another missing no that did not say missing no. It was like blanked out or blurred letters, and then the letter M, and then more blanked out and blurred letters. Do you remember that one?
I want to say yes, but I'm not entirely sure. I think so, because that one it actually evolves, doesn't it?
Into Kangaskhan.
Kangaskhan, yes.
Yeah, that one was unique. A friend of mine called it Missing M, but that's why it's on the shout out list. It's not an official Pokemon, but what the heck do you call it?
Um,
Oh, I think apostrophe is the are the letters you see, maybe. But it's been a while.
I have no idea what the heck to call it.
And its battle cry was a little bit different than Missing Nose, but the same moveset, water gun, sky attack. I just don't hear it in conversations other than with my one friend, so yeah, that was just a shout out. But let's go into the real Pokemon.
The real.
Okay, starting at number 18, we have the evolution of Spinarak. Do you call it Ariados, or some other unique pronunciation that we just do not hear?
Those are the only two pronunciations of it I know. And I pronounce it Ariados.
And I personally have been calling it Ariados all my life.
Well, you're wrong and I'm right. So there.
I, crying.
You're crying.
If you're taking me seriously, I'm joking. But
Well, you deserve to cry. You've been saying it wrong the entire time.
Okay, here's another Pokemon that I'm probably been saying wrong the entire time too. Um, it's probably the newest Pokemon, or at least, well, it was only released in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Ash Ketchum has it on his team, oddly enough. Um, so yeah, I can think of several different ways I remember people pronouncing this Pokemon. Naganadel, Naganeedle. Uh, Crap, I can't remember the other ones off the top of my tongue.
Well, how do you say it?
Naganadel.
All right, and I pronounce it Naganadel.
And right there, that's a third different pronunciation. And I don't really watch the Sun and Moon anime just because I'm protesting against the artwork. So I'm not even sure how the anime says it.
And I've even heard Naganadel as well. So there's 4.
So 4, I guess this one should have been moving up on my list. I thought there were only the 2 I can. Well, yeah, that was poor judgment of me. But regardless, it's on the list. So without further ado, number 16 on the list, the in-between evolution of Gumi and Gudra.
Sliggoo.
That's what I've always called it too, but another friend of mine says he calls it Sliggoo.
That just doesn't even sound right.
I thought so too, but when they explained why they call it that, because it's covered in slime and it slides, so Sliggoo makes sense to them. So I think Sliggoo rolls off the tongue a little bit easier, but I cannot deny their logic in that one.
Yeah, I get it, but I don't know. Just doesn't. It might have a good reason for it, but it just doesn't sound right.
Oh yeah, and do you remember which one was used by the anime? I want to say Sliggoo.
I believe it was Sliggoo. But then again, I didn't watch much of the anime.
Yeah, I did see where Ash had a Sliggoo, and if they would have said Sliggoo, I think that would have stood out to my memory. So I think we're right on this one.
Well, of course we're right.
Okay. So going into number 15, it's the Love Disc evolution that never came to be. Do you say Alomomola or Alamomola or something else?
Alamamola.
So Big Al and not all.
Right.
But have you heard of alternative pronunciations other than just at the beginning of the name? Other than people like me who have just looked at that name and struggled?
Or just say that fish. Because so many people have. I think one time a while back I heard somebody pronounce it weird, like Alomomola.
Let's just call it Love Disc's drag queen uncle.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Yeah, that's the official name. But do you know which one is actually the correct Al or all?
I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I kind of did not watch many episodes of Black and White just because I hated Iris and Silence so much.
everybody that I've watched, like whenever I watch a lot of YouTube videos, whether it's the video game or the card game, people pulling it, people always say Alamamola. So that's what I go with.
Okay, I'll respectfully go with it too. And you know what? I'm not going to put too much emphasis on what the anime says, and I will go into the reason why when we get to the number 1 slot. But
Right?
number 14, you have the 3 guardians of the lake: knowledge, willpower, and crap. I should have came prepared for this podcast. What was the other one? Knowledge, willpower, and
Damn it.
We're going to get corrected so much in the comments section of this podcast.
By all 2 people who watch.
Well, regardless, it is the yellow one. Do you say Uxie, Uxie, or something else?
I say Uxie, but I've heard Uxie, Uxie, and I think those are the only 3 ways I've heard it, but I say Uxie.
I say Uxie, personally, so it's been a while and it's not really common in the anime. Well, screw the anime. I need to stop referencing the anime.
Emotion!
Emotion, knowledge, willpower, emotion. Yes, thank you. Do you remember which guardian was assigned to each one, or is that too much for us to recall on this podcast? Aesop is the best. There, that's all I'm going to recall.
Uxie is knowledge.
Okay, that was my gut feeling. Willpower. I want to say that's Aesop, just because it's the one that hits the hardest.
Correct, and Mesprit is emotion.
Okay, it makes sense.
Oh, and let's just throw this in there while we're actually on the topic of Uxie. Mesprit, I've heard that pronounced a couple different ways. I've heard it Mesprit, Mesprit, and Mesprite. How do you say it?
I've only heard people say it as Mesprit. Like, I've not even heard of an alternative for it. That's why it's not even on this list. Of course, A, no offense to that Pokemon. B, there are too many Pokemon to even put on this list.
Good point. But since we were on that topic, I just wanted to bring it up.
And there's just easy to say Azelf.
Right. Or Azelf. Which I've heard, but I say Azelf, so.
Oh yeah, I've heard of Azelf too, but mostly after Az became a character. I've never heard of anyone call it Azelf until Az came along, but that's just me personally.
You mean AZ?
Yeah.
Oh. So what's the next one?
So it's the Pokemon with 2 stages in their evolutionary line, and it takes the longest for this Pokemon to evolve into its first/final stage. And of course, it is the ultimate bug fire Pokemon, being the only one. Do you say Volcarona, Volcarona, or other?
Volcarona.
This is one of the Pokemon that I've been alternating between just because I think it sounds badass either way. But yeah, I feel like Volcarona is the correct way to say it, but do you know if that's verified?
Not to my knowledge, but it just sounds better that way, honestly.
And honestly, this probably deserved to be lower on the list since there was only 2 ways and they're not too different. But it's just a really great Pokemon, and that's why it's at number 13. So, speaking of Gen 5, the number 12 slots, that will go to the evolution of Yamask. There's a pronunciation for this name that I don't want to verbally say over this podcast, but
A lot of people say it that way.
I personally won't for a recorded podcast, but you can tell by the spelling. What are the other alternative pronunciations you've heard for that Pokemon?
Actually, it's just that and the other, to me, official way to say it. Which, the way that Crystal doesn't want to say it, the way it's pronounced kind of comes off as a
slur.
Right.
And even in the Pokemon trading system internationally, they would not let you trade this Pokemon unless you gave it a nickname because of that spelling.
Oh, wow. Well, how do you pronounce it?
Cofagrigus.
Okay, say that one more time.
Cofagrigus, I guess. I alternate between the different pronunciations for this Pokemon just because I'm never 100% sure.
I've heard Cofagrigus, which is the way I say it. I've heard Cofagrigus, but I've only heard that a few times, but I still say Cofagrigus is the correct way to say it.
And then there's another one that puts a lot of emphasis on the 3 letters.
Right. We'll let everyone try to figure that one out for themselves.
But is there an official way of saying that Pokemon's name?
I don't think so. James in the anime, whenever he caught a Yamask, did he ever evolve it?
Nope.
No.
That's just too good of a Pokemon for James to have. Well, actually, let me double check. Because it's not totally uncommon main characters evolve their Pokemon right at the end of the series and then they're gone. Mostly looking at Ash. But I'm searching this right now, so just bear with me.
Oh, Crystal.
Yeah.
Whenever we get to number 1, I want to do like an honorable mention just in case you do not have a specific Pokemon I have in mind.
Alright, yeah, and yeah, I was right, he never evolved it.
Darn.
Okay, so number 11, watch number 11 be your honorable mention. Probably not, but so you had in Hoenn, Regirock, Registeel, and then people alternating between Regice and Regice. It's
When I
totally
first started playing?
Regice.
Say what?
I know for a fact it's Regice. And I know that's verified. That's one of the few ones I know for certain. But how have you been saying it?
Whenever I was younger and first started playing Ruby and Sapphire, I said it Regice just because I just said it the way the other two sounded.
Oh yeah.
But now that I'm older and wiser, I say Regice.
It's just a stage we all go through.
Right.
But yeah, also can deserve to be closer to the bottom of the list, but I'm too biased when it comes to these lists. Oh, my kitty wants in here. Okay,
Hey, Crystal.
Yeah?
I'm having something pop up. I'll be right back in about 5, maybe not even 5 minutes, okay?
Alright.
You can keep talking. I'll just be right back, okay?
Okay, I'll try to think of something to talk about. Oh yeah, I can do the Pokemon of the week already.
That'll work.
Okay, so while Chris is away, which of course he can interrupt this podcast at any time, we're going to go ahead and jump to the Pokemon of the week. So a bit of trivia about this Pokemon. It's a cool, kind of weird Pokemon. Introduced in the Johto Gen 2 region in time frame. And I would assume, like most trainers, it caught everyone off guard. Well, yeah, I was pretty shocked about it, especially when I was a child and could not research this stuff online. And there was only one of these in the wild. And of course, you probably already know what this Pokemon of the Week now is. I sent out Quilava against it, thinking it would be a grass type. But yeah, I was getting a rude awakening after not very effective and getting hit with Rock Throw. And of course, the Pokemon of the Week is the best weird looking tree ever. Unless they invent a new one. And that is Sudowoodo. So yeah, I'm trying to prevent dead air right now. That is the Pokemon of the Week. I guess to talk about Sudowoodo, it was never really a good Pokemon to use competitively from the get-go. Just because mono rock type and nothing real special about it. But then after Stone Edge became available, and oh, Head Smash. Wait. Can Sudowoodo Head Smash? I know I should know this. Googling right now. But I do know that it picked up that grass move, Wood Hammer, and it having the Rock Head ability. Wood Hammer is really terrific for it. I'm pretty sure it can also Head Smash. Yep, it can Head Smash. So now Sudowoodo is actually a really great Pokemon. It's pretty bulky, so it doesn't need Sturdy. So yeah, if you're running competitive Sudowoodo, it's still not the best Pokemon to use, so best of luck to you, but I definitely recommend the Rock Head Smash, Wood Hammer, a Double Edge, just a complete destroyer. Sudowoodo. Adamant Nature would probably be best. Choice Band would be a really great item for it, or the Life Orb if you wanted to take at least partial recoil or whatever. But yeah, that's the Pokemon of the week. Chris, have you returned?
Yes, actually, and Sudowoodo is not too bad in the TCG either, because it was actually part of a championship deck a couple years ago. It was only a tech Pokemon used for its benched ability, which is Roadblock, which for every Sudowoodo that you have on your bench, your opponent loses one bench space. So if you have 3 Sudowoodo down, they can only put up to 2 Pokemon on their bench. And that really disrupted a lot of decks, which was just really, really rude. And it was bad. But yeah, it's out of rotation now. But back then, along with I would say it really paired well with I think it was Galissapod GX that it won a tournament, the championship with. I might be wrong, but I think that's what it was. But yeah, overall, it was a really good card. That one specifically. Other cards I don't really know much about competitively when it comes to Sudowoodo. That's just the only one that comes to mind. But even then, it was part of a championship deck, and that's impressive.
So I'm glad that it had its moment of glory.
It did. And sorry about having to step away. The boss needed me, and she says hello.
And of course, we say hello back. But yeah, when the boss calls, we definitely understand.
And for people who might not know, the boss is, of course, my wife, who's been on a few of our podcasts. And who possibly, maybe 25% chance that she'll pop up in future podcasts, depending on scheduling.
So I guess without further ado, I'm getting back to the list. At
Yeah.
number 10,
Woo,
um,
top 10.
so this Pokemon has been talked about as one of the worst Pokemon to use, period, in story playing, competitive. It's one of those common bug flyers. Its abilities are bad, its hidden abilities also bad, and it's got a cool looking design, but that's all it pretty much has going for it. Its special defense isn't half bad either. But everything else, do you already know which Pokemon I'm getting at? Generation 2?
Mm,
Do you pronounce it Ladian, Ladian,
gotcha.
or even more emphasis, Ladian, um, or something else?
Ladian.
And is that the correct way that you know?
Not sure. That's just the way I've always heard it.
So you never heard anyone say it differently?
Literally, that's the only way I've ever heard Ledian's name pronounced.
Oh. I guess that's what you get for growing up in a different area from me.
Hey, same with me and a couple of them.
So far, I'm desperate. Um,
Oh, there's one that we'll get to.
oh yeah. Hopefully it's on this list. But without further ado, another from Gen 2. Completely the opposite of Ladian. It is very badass. It's competitive. Even nowadays, it's still competitive, although probably has gone down a bit ever since Mega Man X became a thing. Which, by now, people probably should guess is Raikou or Raikou. Do you hear it pronounced differently?
Between those two ways, yes.
Oh
Those are
yeah.
the only.
Then I vaguely remember someone saying Raikou.
Ew.
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 To Raikou.
Right? Ew. Well, how do you say it?
Well, my confused self always alternates between Raikou and Raikou, but I usually go with Raikou, or sorry, Raikou.
And I usually alternate between the two as well, even though I usually do it without realizing it. But I
Same.
usually say right.
But yeah, I think we're right in the pronunciation, just because I think I remember hearing about it in the Pokemon Chronicles series. But again, that's me referencing the anime, so you know what? Who knows? Okay, number 8 is probably the very first one that I remember hearing as a child as a discrepancy. If you look back in your far parts of the memory, maybe this was the first one you encountered too with this discrepancy, because this was also a discrepancy in the anime. Pidgey evolves into Pidgeotto, and Pidgeotto evolves into,
Pidgeot.
which I know that is the correct way, but do you remember people saying Pidgeot?
Somebody I know still says Pidgeot.
Which they said that in the anime too, so sadly, if it's used in the anime, they have valid stepping to say it that way.
Or they just don't know because they're morons.
Well, maybe that too.
You actually know of this friend, Crystal.
Are they unable to make it to the podcast today?
It's not Ty.
Okay. Oh. Um, I think I know who you're implying.
Starts with an R.
Yep, I guess.
Yep. They pronounce it Pidgeot.
And yeah, I'm guessing you trying to correct them and they refuse to be corrected.
Yep.
That's really sad. Well,
They're
maybe it's pronounced Pidgeot in different countries, but we're in America.
in America.
America, bleep yeah. But without
Come
further
on.
without further ado, I know the verified way to say this Pokemon, but I've heard Miss Magius, Miss Magus, um, Miss Magus. Have you heard of any alternative pronunciations for that Pokemon?
Miss Magius, Miss Magius, Miss Magius, Miss Magius.
Oh gosh. People try too hard with this one name.
So how do you pronounce it?
The way it's supposed to be pronounced, Miss Magius.
Yep, Miss Magius for me too. Although I do sometimes go with Miss Magius, sometimes without realizing it.
Well, with the spelling and the look and the capabilities of that Pokemon, I honestly don't blame you. Like, I felt like that should have been the proper way of saying it, but um, some things are out of our control. But let's talk about the next one on the list, and my voice will be cutting in and out. My laptop's actually losing more power than it normally does at this rapid rate, so I'm going to have to plug it in. But I can still talk and walk. Do you still hear me well?
Indeed, I do.
Okay, so next one on the list, another Ultra Beast. Do I even need to give a hint at which Ultra Beast it could be? It's the only Ultra Beast left on the list.
I wouldn't guess you would have to.
You know what? I'm not going to even try to say its name. It's very difficult to pronounce. Do you call it Niligo or something else?
Me personally, I pronounce it Neolego.
Or if you really love Legos, Nilego.
And another way I've heard it is Nihilic. Gesundheit.
Sorry, what was that what you're saying?
I've also heard Nihiligo as well.
I've also heard it pronounced destruction in some cases, but I guess we'll get to the next one on the list. It's actually the Pokemon that inspired the Pokemon of the week of this week. The pre-evolution. Do you say Bonsly or Bonsly?
Bonsley.
Good, because that is the right way of saying it.
Of course. I still have a hatred of Bonsley.
Because of the anime?
No, because of XD.
Because you could always run into it and see it, but never catch it?
Just the whole mission that you had to do was just annoying.
Oh, I just hated that. Well, I guess it's more of a hatred towards Munchlax, because eventually Bonsly would stop, but could see him, never get him on your team. But yes, without further ado, number 4 is from the Hoenn region. It's a very exotic looking Pokemon. It really caught my attention, thought it would be really great in battle because of how it looked and its type combination, but it was just more of a, okay, you were okay. And I am referring to the grass flying Pokemon with no evolutionary line. Do you say Tropius, Trupius, or something else?
Tropius.
Oh, a third way, yep. And I say Tropius.
Well, you're wrong.
Without a doubt in your mind that it's verified?
Nah, not really. I just wanted to say you were wrong again.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
Well, to me, it's more than a feeling.
We're not going to get into that song, but...
But why not?
Because of Wobbuffet, that's why. So yeah, number 3 on the list. I believe the first legendary that had this issue in the Hoenn region. There's mainly 2. Like, the reason why this is so high on the list is just because this has been debated for a lot of time, and a lot of people are familiar with this debate. Rayquaza or Rayquaza?
Rayquaza. Anybody who says Rayquaza are morons. And that includes you, Crystal.
Thank you. I always love to be labeled a moron.
Well, it's true if you say Rayquaza.
Because that sounds the most right off the tip tongue when you say it. Rayquaza flows well.
Rayquaza flows well for me.
Rayquaza doesn't flow for me.
Rayquaza just doesn't sound right.
It sounds like it's going to use Rayquaza. I tried with that one. It has the quay, like earthquake, and it can earthquake, so there's my logic.
Well, my logic is whenever you usually hear the QUA, it's always qua in anything, so that's my logic. Say one word that whenever you see an A after the QU, it says A instead of ah.
Quake?
Okay, besides quake.
Well, if I knew I was going to be asked this question, I would have brought a dictionary of thesaurus or something with me. I don't know too many words. But I guess it goes to number 2, probably also equally debated in the legendary zone. Although I've only heard it pronounced 2 different ways. Arceus and Arceus, which I think the anime alternates between both, but I think the verified way is Arceus.
Arceus is the way to say it. Anybody who says Arceus, you are what's wrong with this world.
I used to be what's wrong with this world until until Silvally came along and the ability clarified it for me.
I gotcha. But now, honorable mentions.
Watch one of your honorable mentions be my number 1 on the list.
I have a feeling I know what number 1 is. But anyway, one of the honorable mentions. This is the one I've talked to you about before. It's Gen 2.
Same here.
Oh, crap. Is it the one I brought up to you?
It's one I brought into the conversation, so probably not.
Okay, this one is a psychic type.
Okay, you can continue then.
Okay. Natu evolves into.
That barely missed the list. But of course, we all know it's Zatu.
Right, Zatu, but I've heard a couple people say Exatu, and that bothers me
They just
so
don't know
bad.
English.
Oh, Crystal, guess who I just got a message from?
It's high.
Yep.
Oh, they can always join the podcast, but we're literally on our last end.
Well, I mean, we can just go 18 through 2 to see what she says, and then go to number 1.
We would have to go rapidly. Sorry, just
It's still rapid.
Plans.
Well, after we do that with her, then I'll start over with the honorable. I already done my 1 honorable mention. I have 2 more. Then after we do 18 through 2 to her, then I'll do the other 2 honorable mentions, and then we'll go to number 1. Sound good?
Oh yeah, that sounds good. And also, are you familiar with what Quakers are?
Yes.
Don't act like me bringing that up is random. Ray Quake.
The field word quake. So that doesn't count.
I was just bringing up another word that had a QUA that is pronounced quay.
But it's still quake. You just added a flipping R.
Different word though.
It is. I'm just going to go ahead and bring Ty into this.
Alrighty.
Hate this place. Add people. Ty. Do we really want to do this? Ring, 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 phone call, phone call.
Yep, greetings.
Yeah, about time you woke up.
Well, okay, first off, that's a personal thing to discuss later.
Ty, we are on a
That
time
is
limit.
rude.
Ty, I am being rude right now. We are on a time limit.
Now,
Okay. We are actually on honorable mentions before number 1, but since you just joined, we're going to go back over what we're doing. Crystal and I had a list of 18 Pokemon with multiple ways to say the name and what we feel like is the correct way to say them. We're going to go back over 18 through 2 for you to see what you would say, and then we're all going to comment on number 1. Sound good?
Okay.
Crystal, number 18.
But yeah, we also talked about the news with the Galarian Sir Duckfeet and Ponyta. But yeah, 18, the evolution of Spinarak.
Spinarak has more than one pronunciation.
Oh,
No. About evolution.
Oh.
I'm purposely not saying their names for this podcast.
Right, how should say? So Spinarak evolves into what?
Ariados.
All right.
That's how they said it in the anime.
Well, you can't take everything in anime. The anime has screwed up Pokemon names before, so we're not going to take that.
Yeah, and the number 1 on the list, the anime says the name 3 different ways, so we can talk about the anime, but we just won't call it the most valid crayon box.
Because they do say some right, but there are some that they do mispronounce. So we're not using that as the most legitimate source. But also, I say it Ariados as well. Crystal says it weirdly.
Ariados?
Yes.
Okay, without further ado, going back to 17, Naganadel, or Naganadel. There are a lot of different ways to say this Pokemon.
I don't think I've heard either one of those.
How do you pronounce it?
I don't know the Pokemon name because I'm not understanding it correctly.
It's an Ultra
evolution of Pokemon.
Wait, what?
The evolution of Poipole.
Oh, Poipole. Shoot, yeah, I'm not familiar with that name.
Got you. Some people say, Crystal, how'd you say them?
For me personally, I call it Naganadel.
Okay, I've heard that Naganadel. I say it Naganadel. But since you're not too familiar with that one, we'll just skip to number 16.
Okay. The podcast thing cut out a little bit, but I guess going to the next Pokemon. We don't want to lose all 2 of our viewers, so the in-between stage of Goomy and Goodra. How do you pronounce that Pokemon type?
Silgu.
Oh, a new one. Yeah, Chris and I call it Sliggoo, and I heard Sliggoo, and now Silgu. But, if no further comments, how do you say Love Disc's uncle? That should have been an evolution in Gen 5.
Gosh, let's see. I believe how I usually screw up the names. I say Alamola.
Yeah, I think that's how we say it. What, did you say Al or All?
I think it said Alamola.
Yeah, I think that's how we say it. Alomomola. Yeah.
Yep.
See, I don't do the mo. I just do the Alamola. I keep forgetting the mo.
Oh, don't worry, Ty. I do that too.
It's Momo, Alamomola.
If you say so.
I said so.
Okay, so yeah, number 14, that was Uxie.
Uxie.
Oh, Uxie?
Oh my
okay,
God.
We got all 3 ways. Nice.
See, it deserved to be on this list. Okay, so 13. I doubt there's going to be 3 ways of saying this, but who knows? I call it Volcarona.
Volcarona?
Or Volcarona. How were we saying it earlier?
I don't remember.
Ty, how do you say it?
Volcarona?
Volcarona.
Yeah, that's the evolved form of Larvesta, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
so
I was just going to say the next generation, the next number is the same generation. I struggle with saying this one just because of 3 letters in it. The evolution of Yamask.
Yep. That's oh gosh, that's Carf. I can't remember the exact way to spell the name, but Carfagigas or something like that. I don't remember the spelling of the name. I wish it did.
Oh, I have it. Cofagrigus.
Gus. Carphagus.
Close enough. Crophagigus. Or there's other ways to pronounce it, but that's just how I pronounce it. I've heard Crophagigus, Crophagigus. One that Crystal and I didn't really want to say.
Okay.
Yep. So, going into number 11, that was, you had Reggie Rock, Reggie sorry. My eyes are waking up. Reggie Rock, Reggie Steele, and
Reggie Gigas.
no, I'm just an embarrassing person. In the Hoenn region, Reggie Rock, Reggie Steele. Did you call it Reggie Ice or Reg Ice?
I did. Oh my gosh! Really, that one? Reggie Ice is what we're doing.
Well, there's people who say it like that.
Yeah, we call it Reg
This is the
Ice.
first I'm hearing of it.
Wow, really?
Yes.
I used to say Reggie Ice whenever I was young and stupid.
I've always said Reggie Ice.
Yeah, I've always called it that too, and then a Pokemon movie and other sources kept on saying Regice, and it's weird. It needs to have another I, that way it can be universally a Regice across the board.
I know,
Right.
right?
But the number 10 is the bug flying Pokemon from Johto that sucks competitively and story-wise because it's so weak. Its special defense is pretty alright. It's mainly used to set up light screen, sunscreen, reflect. Yeah, that's what it is. And it has a cool design, the one that's modeled after the ladybug, or ladybird if you're in the UK. How do you say the final evolution's name?
Lady.
Say it again?
Lady.
Yeah, that's the first time I've heard that pronunciation.
Ah,
So that's 4 I can add to my list for that Pokemon.
There's 4 different pronunciations for Lady.
I call it Ladian, or
Yeah, I call
Ladian, or Ledian. Well, I say it the first way. I just heard the other ways too.
right. I say Lydian as well.
Okay.
But yeah, number 9. Not Suicune, not Entei, but
Raikou.
All right.
we all say it the same way.
Yep.
I just hear a lot of people, myself included, that alternate between that and Raikou.
Yeah, I used to say Raikou, but then I watched Pokemon Chronicles.
See, I knew that's where it came from. But yeah, number 8's probably the first Pokemon we had this issue with. If you dig deep back when you were just a small young child playing Pokemon, Pidgey evolved into Pidgeotto, and Pidgeotto evolved into what now?
Pidgeot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the correct way of saying it.
I know somebody who still says Pidgeot.
Oh
And they're
god.
Ty, you've met that person.
I have.
The Crystal knows that person.
Oh jeez.
Okay, Ty, remember when you and I, whenever you came up where we live
Yeah.
for the Pokemon pre-release?
Yeah.
Remember the guy that hung out with us afterwards? The big guy with the glasses?
That guy. Yeah. That was the same guy that said that Nickelodeon sucked. Then I told him, no, you better take that back.
Yes, that's him. He says Pidgeot.
Oh gosh. Just
Sounds like
another
he-
reason to slap him in the face.
Sounds like he says a lot of wrong things, but this podcast will not be about him. So yeah, there's the next one on the list was a Gen 4 Pokemon, Oogie Spooky Ghost type, a very feminine one. how do you say that one? Miss Magius, Miss Magus, Miss something else.
Yeah, Miss Magius is what I've learned to adapt to, but I don't know why for a second I thought we were talking about Frostlass.
Well, I mean, it kind of fits, so.
Yeah, my bad. They're both the ghost types in Gen 4. That was very broad of me. But yeah, when you said you learned to adapt, I'm guessing you were saying it differently, and then you heard the anime or something say it.
I think I was either screwing up the name or I didn't want to attempt it until I heard somebody else say it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Miss Magius is definitely verified, and the sixth one on the list was an Ultra Beast, the Rock Poison one, which we just kept on generating different pronunciations. We've heard the one that looks like a weird jellyfish thing. What do you call that Pokemon?
What you're talking about, Jellicent or its evolution?
Ultra Beast and Sun and Moon.
Oh, that's right. That one was Blacephalon, I think.
Oh, no. Not the clown-looking thing. The jellyfish that took over Lucamine's body.
Oh, that one. Oh gosh, it started with an N, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Naligo?
Yeah, that's a common one I've heard, which I think is the correct way of saying it, but I've heard so many different ways of saying it. My favorite one is just making sure you say Lego at the end.
I'll say Nihilego. I've heard Nihiligo. So there's multiple ways to say it.
Yep. And then I also did Pokemon of the Week since Chris walked away for a little bit. And the Pokemon of the Week was Sudowoodo. And number 5 on this number. You sound happy about that Pokemon.
No, I could do the voice. No, I picked that up from Camp Pikachu.
But yeah, number 5 on this list is actually the Priev, the Sudowoodo. How do you say that one?
Bonsai?
Bad time! Bad time!
What are you talking about? It's how Brock says it.
Yeah, she like we said, the anime says it different ways for different Pokemon, including this one.
Brock is wrong too. It's Bonsley.
But I love Brock, and he wouldn't lie to me.
I love Brock too.
I'm gonna side with Brock on
Brock is wrong.
He lies to women all the time, though, just to get in their pants.
He tried.
Don't listen to him. But when he's sitting there cradling a bonsai, it's really hard not to take his way.
You're talking about somebody who used a frying pan as a drying pan.
Y'all need to stop hating on Brock.
Brock is one of my favorite characters. I'm not hating.
I like Brock in Pokemon Masters, but anime-wise, well, he was creative. He was a good character, I'll give him that. But
Pokemon Masters, he is a potion unless you get him with his Tyranitar.
But the next one on the list was, do you say Tropius or Tropius or something else?
Tropius?
Tropius with me. So, Crystal, you're by yourself on that one.
Oh, jeez. I feel like we've been doing that a lot.
Oh, yeah, but I'm used to being alone on things, lol. But, yeah, so the next one is probably the most famous legendary one that we were first introduced with, Rayquaza or Rayquaza.
I think I used to say Rayquaza, but then I started saying Rayquaza after saying Destiny Deoxys.
Yes, it's Rayquaza, not Rayquaza. Take it, Crystal.
It just flows off the tongue easier.
But the anime corrected me.
The one time the anime is right.
I thought I heard it as Rayquaza in one of the anime episodes as well, but see, anime is not very valid all the time. But without further ado, number 2, that was the other legendary with the issue, Arceus or Arceus.
Arceus.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so this is where we've made it to now, but I have a few honorable mentions that didn't get added to the list, but I just want to bring them up if that's okay with you two.
Okay.
Okay, I already did one, but I'm going to go back over it just for you, Ty, so you better feel honored. The evolution of Natu.
It's Zatu.
Oh, thank you. I don't want to hear that pronunciation ever.
Wait a minute, Ty, can you say it one more time?
Zatu.
Zatu. Okay. Okay, the way we all three say it. Good. I know somebody who pronounced it Exatu.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that was a real thing that actually happened.
I swear you
no,
live in the dumb part of the state.
You're not lying. You're really not. The next one I have is another Gen 2 Pokemon. The evolution of Scyther. How do you pronounce it?
Scizor.
And anyone else is wrong.
Scizor
And there's
is the
an easier way to confirm this. You know, they actually have a talking Pokeball that plays 20 questions of Guess That Pokemon. They have a Johto version out now. It looks like a
Yeah.
great ball. I want it.
But yeah, I know some people who say Scizor.
Oh gosh.
I know one person who says Skizor. I wish I was lying.
You
I
can't
wish
see it
I was
right now,
lying.
but I'm face palming so hard.
You're face palming. You don't know the person.
That's why I'm face palming.
Okay, I had two more, but I forgot one of them. So I'm just going to go with the other one.
Is it Gen 1?
It is Gen 5. Oh, thank you. That was the other one.
Yeah, I knew you were going to mention that.
So, the King and Queen Pokemon. How do you say their name?
Okay, the King and Queen Pokemon, that would be Nidoqueen and Nidoking.
Right. Crystal?
Same way. The right way.
Same way. The thing is, whenever I was younger, I used to say Nido King and Nido Queen. Now, just hear me out. I used to say it because I always played the games before I actually ever got to watch the anime. And whenever you're just reading something, it's easy to see how it can come off as Nido King and Nido Queen, especially because it has an I. So that was another one of those. I was young and stupid. Is that fair enough?
I'm not even sure if I remember any of the Nidos in the anime before having played the game, and I still read it as Nidoran.
I'm not even going to go into how I read the Nidoran names. I'm just skipping that because I screwed that up worse than I screwed Nido King and Nido Queen. But we're not going to talk about that.
Okay.
And honorable mention number 4, the final one. This one brings joy to me, just because I'm a big fan of this Pokemon. Crystal, you know I'm a big fan of this one. Ty, I think you might know I'm a big fan of this one. Maybe, possibly, I don't know. But the evolved form of Trubbish.
Garbodor?
That's how I say it too.
I've heard Garbodor, and I've also heard Garbodor.
I feel like the pronunciation or enunciation is the same, but putting different emphasis on different letters.
Even then, it's still a different pronunciation of it.
And they even had him in the Alolan anime. For some reason, I couldn't get into the Alolan anime after they started doing this Ultra Legends thing. It just being too unrealistic. Because, I mean, you had kids leaving school to go save the world. Oh, yeah. Like, what TV show does that not sound like?
Ty, let's focus on the podcast.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and then I had one shout out just for mostly LOLs.
Of course.
You played the red, blue, and yellow version as a kid, right?
I had to backtrack to those games, but yeah.
And did you do that very famous cheat code that everyone knew about and probably almost everyone used?
Wait, what?
Did you ever use any cheat codes?
Oh, cheat codes. As a matter of fact, it has been my sole purpose in life to try to complete Red by using the Mew glitch.
But other than the Mew glitch, did you do anything else?
Let's see. I know I've heard about the missing number. I personally don't want to do that for my game.
Okay, so you've never done the missing no cheat code?
No.
Okay, so you wouldn't get this shout out because everyone heard of missing a number or missing no, but there was another one that looked exactly like it, but its name was blurred out, and then you'd see apostrophe M and then more blurred out letters. A friend of mine called it missing M, but what the heck do you even call that thing? But yeah, that was just a shout out to a cheat code Pokemon that doesn't exist.
And it actually evolves.
It's a Kangaskhan.
Yeah. Try figuring that one out.
But yeah, without further ado, we'll go into number one.
Oh, but before that, I say Garbodor, but like I just wanted to get back to this right quick. Like you say, Crystal, it is different emphasis. Like one's focused on garb, as in garbage, and the other one's focused on the odor part. So yeah, Garbodor and then Garbodor. So I've heard both versions of it. I say Garbodor, so
yeah.
I just wanted to put that out there since I asked you to.
Alrighty. So the number one on this list, Mareep evolves into Flappy, and Flappy evolves into what?
Can you repeat that, Ty?
Ampharos.
If I had hair, I would be pulling it out right now.
Same, and I have hair.
It's Ampharos. And you cannot convince me otherwise, Ty. I don't care about this whole anime BS. It's Ampharos.
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 Hold on. Interjecting. Even though I am on the Chris side of this, the anime does say it 3 different ways. Ampharos, Ampharos, and get a load of this BS. Ampharos.
Wait, what was that last one?
And
Ampharos.
there is another way to say it. And there's another way I know that it's Ampharos.
It's not Farrah Fawcett.
Don't tell me. I'm not the one who says it like that.
Some people on this podcast probably don't even know who Farrah Fawcett is.
Well, I mean, there's only like 2 or 3 of them, so.
And everything can be found out through Google. Well,
right?
Most everything, but
I learned about Farrah Fawcett through Johnny Bravo, so.
Fair enough.
But I guess focusing back on Pokemon for this podcast, I guess you all can see why I decided to make that number one on the list.
Ampharos.
Ampharos.
But regardless, it's a great Pokemon. I always have to resist using it in all my runs.
The negative form, yes.
Ampharos.
So, any other closing statements before we close out, other than pronunciations?
Yes, I got something. I got something.
We're waiting.
Ty, it's freaking Ambrose.
It's
So,
Ambrose.
so
No!
Chris,
Dang it!
um, my boyfriend Chris, is asking for reasons why you all say the way you do for that.
Because I'm right, that's why.
Because I grew up watching most of the anime, or at least trying to. I have always tried to watch every
There's your,
Pokemon anime, especially the movies.
there's your
Uh,
problem.
if it's if the Pokemon is in a movie and it gets mentioned that way, then I'm more able to remember it. Uh, Anything else, like because like I know with Unova, I had a hard time watching that anime. So any of the names I picked up from that, I most likely got from reading them off the video games, or maybe even the Pokemon cards itself. Because I am determined to get a card from every Pokemon set, and the video games, of course. Like, I mean, who doesn't try to read that? So yeah.
So I guess without further ado, this is our closing. We'll be back with more news, more themes. I suspect the next set of news will contain the next evolutions for the starters. I hope, but we'll
And by
just.
the time we do our next podcast, if Ty isn't with us, I promise I did not strangle her.
Okay, so yes, I do want to mention one other thing though. Now that I think about it, because y'all had mentioned the what we have reason to believe is the Galarian Ponyta. Y'all mentioned that without me present.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, and we talked about that it most likely is going to be a fairy type. That Rapidash will probably pick up the flying type for being a Pegasus
Honestly,
unicorn.
definitely, it definitely looks like a unicorn though. But what I wanted to say though was whenever I introduced it to one of my friends, uh, they were trying to talk about how the ears were different or what have you, and I was saying how yeah, those ears on that Ponyta are Jigglypuff sized, and then somebody said, "I got it. They're allowing us to do genetic inbreeding with the Pokemon to create to create new Pokemon." But basically, it the way he described it, it sounded more like a genetic fusion type of thing, like whenever you combine Q-Ram with Reshiram or Zekrom. It's like, first off, I don't think that's what this is. But just the sheer fact he mentioned it, I just wanted to share that in case there were other people out there thinking the same thing.
I got you. But overall, your opinion of the Galarian Ponyta, is it positive or negative?
Uh, let's see. Well, first off, I wasn't expecting it. That's for sure. Um, I feel like it's kind of downplayed a little bit. And then the next thing I know, I'm sitting there trying to remember if Ponyta even had horns, which I don't think Ponyta did, but I think Rapidash did. So
Right.
basically, this just looks more like the stereotypical unicorn type of Pokemon. And
But are you
I'm just,
okay with it overall?
well, I was never that big into fairy types, with the exception of Meryl. Meryl and Azumarill having a fairy type is a good thing in my opinion. But I don't know. I was just kind of off put by this because it's like, well, this like I'm not sure how many people would have actually looked forward to this leak.
I
But
looked forward to it, and I'm happy for it. The one pick I have about the entire thing is that reveal was not worth the 24 hours.
yeah, I didn't agree with that either.
Just because they just showed like one Pokemon every hour and a half to 2 hours, and people were just sitting there wasting their day looking for
Yeah,
stuff
and
whenever they saw like Pikachu or Phantom or Morlul, which Crystal cannot say. Um,
It's just because I'm not used to seeing that Pokemon, so it's just a blur to me.
I just had to say that. Sorry, I just had to give you that shout out. Wasn't that nice of me? But Crystal, would you like to wrap this up?
Yep, sure. If there are no other closing thoughts, then thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in to the Pedal Dance Podcast. This is Crystal with co-host Chris and Ty.
I was late.
Better late than never, but
Right.
can't think of anything else. Comment, like, subscribe, report, get naked and throw yourself on a computer. I don't care. Until then, catch y'all next time.
Later.